You know what's funny about marriage? Sometimes your spouse hands you the perfect opportunity to teach them a lesson, and they don't even realize it until it's too late. My wife had just finished ranting about how fake she felt around my family when she delivered her ultimatum. "I'm tired of pretending I like your mother. Don't invite me to her birthday party this weekend." She said it while loading the dishwasher, as if she was mentioning we were out of milk. No big dramatic moment, just a casual announcement that she was done with basic respect. "Completely understand," I replied, continuing to scroll through my phone. That response clearly wasn't what she expected. She actually stopped mid-rinse and turned around, probably waiting for me to start negotiating or defending my mom. When I didn't, she just shrugged and went back to the dishes. But here's what my wife didn't know. I'd been waiting for this moment for months. See, the disrespect toward my family had been escalating for a while. Last month, when my mom called to check on us after a storm, my wife actually rolled her eyes and mouthed, "Here we go," while I was talking. During our anniversary dinner, she spent 10 minutes complaining about how my mom always asks when we're having kids, calling it invasive and annoying. The breaking point came 2 weeks ago when my mom offered to help us repaint our guest bedroom. My wife's response: "Thanks, but we've got it handled. Besides, your color choices are a bit too traditional for our taste." My mom just smiled and said she understood, but I saw the hurt in her eyes. That's when I realized my wife had gotten too comfortable being cruel because I'd never imposed any real consequences. Until now. As she finished cleaning up, I was already thinking about her best friend, recently divorced, going through a rough patch, and someone who'd always been genuinely kind to my family. At our last get-together, she'd spent 20 minutes talking to my mom about her garden, asking for advice on which flowers to plant in her new apartment. The more I thought about it, the more brilliant this plan became. My wife wanted to skip family obligations. Perfect. That just opened up an opportunity for someone who actually appreciated good company. I didn't say another word about the party that night. Didn't try to change her mind. Didn't explain how her attitude was affecting everyone. Instead, I went to bed knowing exactly how Saturday was going to play out. My wife thought she was setting a boundary. What she'd actually done was give me permission to show her what happens when you take someone's patience for granted. She had no idea that her little declaration of independence was about to cost her more than she bargained for. Because while she was busy congratulating herself on finally being honest, I was planning a birthday celebration that would teach her the difference between setting boundaries and burning bridges. The best part? She'd handed me the matches herself. Wednesday morning, I put my plan into motion. Her best friend worked at the same coffee shop I passed every day on my way to the office. Perfect timing. Really, she was usually there around 8:30, grabbing her usual vanilla latte before heading to her marketing job downtown. I walked in like it was completely normal, ordered my regular black coffee, and happened to notice her sitting at the corner table looking through her phone. "Hey there," I said, approaching with my coffee. "Mind if I sit for a minute? Place is packed today." She looked up and smiled, the first genuine smile I'd seen from her since the divorce papers were finalized last month. "Of course. How are you doing?" We made small talk for a few minutes. She mentioned how quiet her new place was, how she was still adjusting to living alone after 12 years of marriage. I could tell she was lonely, but trying to stay positive about her new chapter. That's when I made my move. "Actually, I wanted to ask you something," I said, keeping my tone casual. "My mom's having her birthday dinner this Saturday at that Italian place on 5th Street. My wife can't make it, work conflict, and I hate showing up to family stuff alone. Would you be interested in joining me? I know my mom really enjoyed talking with you at our barbecue." Her face lit up immediately. "Really? That's so sweet of you to think of me. Your mom is absolutely lovely, and I could definitely use a night out." "Great," I replied, pulling out my phone. "Reservations at 7. I can pick you up around 6:30 if that works." She nodded enthusiastically. "That sounds perfect. Should I bring anything? Flowers, maybe." "Just yourself," I said, finishing my coffee. "Mom will be thrilled to have the company." As I headed to the door, she called out, "Tell your wife I said hi, and thanks for including me." I just smiled and waved. The beauty of this whole situation was how innocent it actually was. I wasn't lying about anything. My wife genuinely couldn't make it because she'd refused to go, and her friend really did need cheering up after the divorce. 2 problems, 1 solution. Over the next few days, I handled the logistics like a military operation. Confirmed the reservation, made sure my mom knew I was bringing a guest, even bought a small gift to give her friend as a thank you for joining us on short notice. My wife, meanwhile, seemed relieved that I hadn't pushed back on her decision. She actually started being more pleasant around the house, probably thinking she'd successfully trained me to accept her boundaries without complaint. Friday night, she even asked, "So what time is your mom's thing tomorrow?" 7. I replied, not looking up from my laptop. "You're really going alone?" "Not alone," I said. "Your friend is coming with me." She seemed excited about it. The silence that followed was deafening. "My friend." Her voice had a sharp edge now. "Yeah, ran into her at the coffee shop. She mentioned how lonely she's been since the divorce, so I thought it would be nice to include her. You know how much my mom liked her." I could practically feel the wheels turning in her head, but she couldn't exactly object without admitting she wanted to control who I spent time with while simultaneously refusing to spend time with my family herself. "That's nice of you," she finally managed. "I thought so too," I replied, closing my laptop. "Should be a fun evening." That night, she was unusually quiet. I could tell she was processing the implications of what I'd just told her, but there was nothing she could say without looking completely unreasonable. After all, she was the one who didn't want to go. I was just making sure my mom had a pleasant birthday dinner with people who actually wanted to be there. The trap was set, and she'd walked right into it. Saturday evening turned out better than I could have planned. I picked up my wife's friend at 6:30 sharp. She dressed nicely, not overdressed, just respectful for a family dinner. She brought a beautiful bouquet of sunflowers, my mom's favorites, which told me she'd actually paid attention during their previous conversations. "I hope your mom likes these," she said as we drove to the restaurant. She mentioned loving sunflowers when we talked about her garden. "She'll love them," I assured her. "Thanks for remembering that." The dinner itself was fantastic. My mom was genuinely delighted to have the company. Within minutes, they were deep in conversation about travel plans, book recommendations, and my mom's volunteer work at the animal shelter. What struck me most was how natural everything felt. No eye rolls, no checking phones, no subtle signs of boredom. Just genuine conversation between people who actually enjoyed each other's company. When my mom started telling stories about my childhood, instead of cringing or making sarcastic comments like my wife usually did, her friend laughed at all the right moments and asked follow-up questions. She seemed genuinely interested in hearing about the time I tried to build a treehouse and ended up stuck in the oak tree for 3 hours. "He was always ambitious," my mom said, beaming. "Still is." "I can see that," she replied, smiling at me. "It's wonderful how close your family is." The whole evening had this relaxed, warm atmosphere that I'd forgotten was possible during family gatherings. No tension, no walking on eggshells, just people enjoying each other's company. My cousin started taking pictures throughout the dinner, nothing posed or dramatic, just candid shots of everyone talking and laughing. In one photo, I'm helping my mom cut her birthday cake while her friend holds the plates. In another, we're all raising our glasses for a toast. The most telling photo was taken when my mom was showing her friend pictures on her phone of the shelter dogs she'd helped find homes for. They're leaning in close, both smiling, with me sitting between them looking genuinely relaxed and happy. "You two look like you're having a great time," my aunt commented, snapping another picture. "We really are," her friend replied. "Your family is wonderful." After dinner, my mom hugged her goodbye and said, "Please don't be a stranger. You're welcome anytime." "I'd love that," she responded, and I could tell she meant it. As I drove her home, she thanked me multiple times for including her. "I needed this more than you know," she said. "It's been so long since I felt like part of a family gathering." "You fit right in," I told her honestly. When I got home around 10:30, my wife was already in bed, reading. She looked up when I came in. "How was it?" she asked, trying to sound casual. "Really nice," I replied. "Mom had a great time. Your friend brought sunflowers. Remembered they were her favorites from when they talked about gardening." She nodded but didn't say anything else. What she didn't know was that while we were having dinner, my mom had already posted several photos on Facebook, tagging the whole family like she always did after gatherings. The caption read, "Beautiful 68th birthday dinner with family and friends. So grateful for the wonderful people in my life." The photos showed exactly what had happened, a lovely family dinner where everyone was genuinely happy to be there. Nothing inappropriate, nothing staged, just real moments of people enjoying each other's company. By Sunday morning, those photos would be everywhere on social media. My aunt had shared them. My cousin had posted her own set, And even my mom's friends from the book club had started commenting about what a lovely evening it looked like. The evidence was all there, posted for the world to see. While my wife was home alone, refusing to celebrate my mother's birthday, I was having a wonderful time with someone who actually appreciated my family. The best part? Every single photo told the truth. We really had enjoyed ourselves that much. Sunday morning, I was in the kitchen making breakfast when the fireworks started. My phone buzzed first, a text from my wife upstairs. "We need to talk." Now, I finished flipping my eggs before responding. "Sure, what's up?" Instead of texting back, she came storming down the stairs, holding her phone like a weapon. "What exactly is this supposed to be?" she demanded, shoving her screen in my face. It was my mom's Facebook post from last night, the one with all the dinner photos. Her friend had been tagged in the comments by my aunt, who'd written, "So lovely meeting you. Hope to see you again soon. Looks like Mom's birthday dinner." I replied calmly, taking a bite of toast. "Don't play dumb with me. Why are there pictures of you looking cozy with my friend all over social media?" "Cozy?" I actually laughed. "We were eating dinner. You know, that thing people do at restaurants." Her face was getting red now. "This is embarrassing. Everyone's going to think you brought another woman to replace me." "Well," I said, meeting her eyes directly, "you did refuse to go. What was I supposed to do? Tell my mom her birthday dinner was canceled because my wife couldn't be bothered to show up?" "That's not the point. Actually, that's exactly the point. You made a choice. These are the consequences." She started pacing around the kitchen, clearly trying to figure out how to spin this situation. "You should have gone alone." "Why?" "So I could spend the evening explaining to my family why my wife keeps missing important events. So my mom could feel guilty about her own birthday dinner. You could have just said I was sick." I put down my fork and looked at her seriously. "I'm not lying to my family to cover for your attitude anymore." That hit a nerve. She stopped pacing and stared at me. "My attitude? I told you I was tired of pretending. And I told you I completely understood. So I found someone who didn't have to pretend to enjoy my family's company." Her phone started buzzing with notifications. More family members were commenting on the photos. More likes were coming in. Each notification seemed to make her more agitated. "This makes me look terrible," she said, scrolling through the comments. "How? Nobody even mentioned you in the comments. As far as anyone knows, you had other plans." "Other plans? I was home alone while my husband was out with another woman." "You were home alone because you chose to be home alone. And she's not another woman. She's your best friend who needed cheering up after her divorce." She tried a different approach. "You should have asked me first." "Asked you what?" "Permission to invite someone to a dinner you already said you wouldn't attend." "Yes." "Why?" "You made it clear you wanted nothing to do with the event. Why would you get a say in who attends something you refuse to be part of?" She had no answer for that, so she switched tactics again. "People are going to get the wrong idea." "What wrong idea?" "That I brought a friend to keep my mom company on her birthday? That I didn't want her to feel like she was causing problems in my marriage by having a celebration? Everyone knows she's my friend." "Exactly. Which makes it even more obvious that you chose not to be there while she was happy to celebrate with my family." Her phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from the friend herself. "Had such a wonderful time last night. Your mother-in-law is amazing. Thank you again for including me." My wife read it, and her expression shifted from anger to something that looked almost like panic. "She's texting you?" "She's thanking me for a nice evening. You know, basic manners. This is getting out of hand." "Is it? Or are you just realizing that your actions have consequences beyond what you planned?" She stood there for a moment, phone in hand, watching more notifications come in. Family members commenting, friends of my mom sharing the photos, everyone talking about what a lovely evening it looked like. "Fix this," she said finally. "Fix what exactly? Make it stop. Tell people it didn't mean anything." I finished my breakfast and stood up to clear my plate. Why would I tell people it didn't mean anything? It meant a lot to my mom. She had a wonderful birthday surrounded by people who actually wanted to be there. That's not what I meant, and you know it. Then say what you mean. But she couldn't, because what she really meant was that she wanted me to apologize for not accepting her disrespect quietly. She wanted me to promise that next time she refused to show up for my family, I'd just suffer through it alone rather than find better company. That wasn't going to happen. Her phone buzzed one more time. Another comment, another like, another reminder that while she was home sulking, everyone else was having a great time without her. She turned and walked back upstairs without saying another word, but I could tell this was far from over. By Sunday afternoon, my wife had gone into full damage control mode. She spent an hour on the phone with her friend, and from what I could hear through the bedroom wall, it wasn't going well. Her friend kept defending the evening, saying how lovely my family was and how much she'd enjoyed herself. When that didn't work, my wife tried calling my mom directly. "Hi, it's me," I heard her say. "I just wanted to apologize for missing your birthday dinner. I had a terrible migraine." A migraine. After explicitly telling me she was tired of pretending to like my mother. I could hear my mom's voice through the phone, warm and forgiving as always. "Oh, sweetheart, don't worry about it. Your friend was wonderful company. She's such a delightful young woman." "Yes, well, that was very thoughtful of my husband to invite her," my wife replied, the words sounding like they were physically painful to say. It really was. "She brought my favorite flowers, and we had the most wonderful conversation. You're lucky to have such a caring friend." After she hung up, my wife came downstairs looking frustrated. "Your mom thinks I had a migraine," she announced. "I know. I heard you lie to her. I was trying to smooth things over. By lying. Again, instead of just apologizing for your actual behavior." She ignored that and moved on to her next strategy. "I talked to my friend. She said you were a perfect gentleman." Of course I was. What did you expect? I expected you to not put me in this position in the first place. What position? The position of facing consequences for your own choices. That's when she really lost it. This is about control, isn't it? You're trying to punish me for having boundaries. Boundaries? I actually laughed. Refusing to show basic respect to my family isn't setting boundaries. It's being cruel. I don't have to like your mother. You're right. You don't. But you also don't get to dictate how I handle family events when you refuse to participate. She tried yet another approach. What if I promise to try harder? What if I go to the next family thing? What if you do? That doesn't change what happened here. So what? You're going to keep bringing other women to family events. I brought your friend to one dinner because you refused to go. If you don't want that to happen again, show up yourself. It's not that simple. It actually is exactly that simple. By Monday morning, she'd moved on to threats. "If you keep this up, I'm going to have to reconsider some things about our marriage." I was getting ready for work when she dropped that bomb. I paused while knotting my tie and looked at her in the mirror. Reconsider what exactly? Whether this relationship is working. Based on me taking someone to my mom's birthday dinner after you refused to go? Based on you humiliating me publicly? I didn't humiliate you. You humiliated yourself by choosing not to be there. Everyone's talking about it. About what? About how nice the dinner was. About how much my mom enjoyed herself. What exactly are they saying that's so terrible? She couldn't answer that, because the truth was, everyone was saying positive things. The comments were all about what a lovely evening it looked like, how happy my mom seemed, how nice it was that her friend could join us. You made me look like a bad wife. I didn't make you look like anything. Your choices made you look however you look. That afternoon, she tried one final strategy. She called her friend again and attempted to make her feel guilty for going. I only heard her side of the conversation, but it was clear her friend wasn't backing down. "I just think it was inappropriate." "No, I understand you were lonely, but he's my husband. It doesn't matter that it was innocent." When she hung up, she looked defeated. "She won't apologize," my wife said. "Why should she? She did nothing wrong. She went on a date with my husband. She went to a family dinner with her friend's husband after her friend refused to attend. There's a difference. Nobody else will see it that way." "Really?" "Because all the comments on those photos seem to see it exactly that way." She sat down heavily on the couch, finally seeming to realize that her efforts to spin this situation weren't working. "What do you want from me?" she asked quietly. "I want you to understand that your actions have consequences. I want you to realize that I'm not going to enable your disrespect anymore by suffering through it quietly. And if I can't do that, then you'll keep finding yourself in situations where other people are enjoying my family's company while you're home alone." She looked at me for a long moment, and I could see her processing the reality of what I'd just said. This wasn't a one-time thing. This was a new standard. Either she could participate respectfully in my family events, or she could keep choosing to stay home while I found better company. But what she couldn't do anymore was expect me to accommodate her cruelty by isolating myself from my own family. 3 weeks later, the dust had settled, and the results were exactly what I'd hoped for. My wife never brought up the birthday dinner again. More importantly, her entire attitude toward my family shifted overnight. When my mom called that following weekend to invite us to Sunday brunch, instead of the usual eye rolls and excuses, my wife actually said yes. At the brunch, she was polite, engaged, and made genuine conversation. Nothing forced or fake. She'd simply realized that her previous behavior came with costs she wasn't willing to pay. The most telling moment came when my mom mentioned that her friend had sent a thank you card for the birthday dinner. "She's such a thoughtful person," my mom said. "I hope we see her again soon." My wife just nodded and said, "She really is wonderful." No sarcasm, no passive-aggressive comments. Just acknowledgement. After brunch, as we drove home, she finally addressed what had really happened. "I get it now," she said quietly. "Get what? Why you did what you did. I was being terrible to your family, and you showed me what it felt like to be replaced. I didn't replace you. I just stopped accommodating your absence. Same result though, wasn't it? I saw how happy everyone was without me there, and I realized I'd rather be part of that than sitting at home feeling sorry for myself." She was right. The photos from that dinner told the whole story. A family celebration where everyone was genuinely enjoying themselves. No tension, no walking on eggshells, just people having a good time together. "Your mom deserved better than what I was giving her," she continued. "She's always been kind to me, and I was treating her like an inconvenience." "She noticed," I said. "She never said anything, but she noticed." "I know, and that makes it worse." Over the following months, the change was remarkable. My wife started calling my mom occasionally, just to chat. She remembered birthdays without being reminded. She even asked for my mom's recipe for that pot roast she'd always claimed to find boring. The friend situation resolved itself naturally. She remained grateful for being included that night, but understood the family dynamics enough to gracefully step back. She and my wife maintained their friendship, and occasionally my wife would mention how much that dinner had meant to her during her difficult divorce period. But the real victory was bigger than just family relationships. My wife had learned that I wouldn't be a doormat anymore. That disrespect would have consequences. That if she wanted to be part of my life, she needed to respect the people who mattered to me. It changed how she approached other situations too. When she started getting frustrated about my Wednesday night poker games with friends, instead of making demands or giving ultimatums, she actually talked to me about finding a compromise that worked for both of us. When her own family started making passive-aggressive comments about our lifestyle choices, she defended us as a unit instead of throwing me under the bus to avoid conflict. She'd learned that relationships require mutual respect, and that respect isn't something you can demand. It's something you earn through your actions. The best part? My mom never knew the real story behind that birthday dinner. As far as she was concerned, her daughter-in-law had a migraine. Her son thoughtfully brought a friend to keep her company, and everyone had a lovely time. The family dynamics improved naturally from there. Sometimes the most effective lessons are the ones that teach themselves. My wife thought she was drawing a line in the sand when she refused to attend that birthday dinner. What she actually did was give me the opportunity to show her what life looked like when someone else filled the space she'd abandoned. She didn't like what she saw, so she changed her behavior. Mission accomplished. These days, when family events come up, she doesn't just attend, she participates. She brings flowers, asks about my aunt's new job, remembers my cousin's graduation date. She's become the daughter-in-law my mom always hoped she could be. And I never had to beg, plead, or compromise my family relationships to make it happen. I just showed her what the alternative looked like and let her decide which version of her life she preferred. Turns out, she preferred the one where she was actually included.
원만하게 해결했고, 일단 뭐 중요한 거는 그게 중요한 거죠. 그게 이제 이삿집을 구하는 게 문제죠. 이삿집을. 집은 많아. 근데 집은 많은데 이게 막 진짜 막 원룸 중에서도 좀 넓은 데를 구하려는 게 이게 좀 쉽지가 않다. 쉽지가 않기 때문에 좀 잘 골라야 돼. 어떻게 될지 모르겠는데 좀 잘 골라 볼게요. 또 급하다고 막 아무 때서나 또 집을 구할 수는 없기 때문에, 아무 때나 집 구할 수는 없기 때문에 웬만하면 무조건 남향. 얘가 남향이 진짜 중요해. 내가 살아보니까 남향만큼 좋은 게 없어요. 진짜 무조건 남향이어야 되더라고. 그리고 1층은 안 돼. 1층은 또 족같아요. 뭐 슈발 뭐 이 새끼 따지는 거 존나 많다 생각하시는 분들도 있을 것 같은데, 아 근데 진짜 안 돼. 1층이랑 서양 북향은 절대 안 돼. 무조건 1층 제외 남향. 햇빛이 들어와야 돼요. 사람 햇빛이 들어와야 이게 또 아침에 일어날 때 또 기운을 잘 받거든. 그리고 또 햇빛이 있어야 빨래도 잘 마르고 냄새도 안 나고 집에 곰팡이도 안 피고 거의 뭐 곰팡이 피는 집 특징이 서향이나 북향이 곰팡이가 많이 핀단 말이야. 그래서 무조건 남향집을 골라야 돼요. 그리고 저 같은 경우에는 뭐야